everybody, Mazer here, and this is the first episode of Reclaiming Childhood. Now, for quite some time, I have been hunting down DVDs or VHSs of some of my favorite childhood movies and TV shows. And I would like to start the series off with an animated movie by Hanna-Barbera, that really struck a chord with me. It was released in 1982. And I probably saw this when I was about 5 years old, so that's like about 1987. And what this movie is, it's called Heidi's Song, based off the book Heidi by, who wrote this? Oh, Joanna Spyro. I apologize if I mispronounced that. I probably did. This movie, the reason this movie means so much to me is this was one of the very first movies I saw as a kid that had an upbeat, colorful animation style, but also contained a lot of dark, creepy elements. And that would become something I would basically become obsessed with as I got older. I really grew to enjoy darker animated films meant for kids, but had some of those creepy, scary moments. You know, like when Charlie Goes to Hell in All Dogs Go to Heaven, or the Mouse of Minx from American Tail. Just little side parts of a otherwise upbeat story I've really gotten to enjoy, and I could basically trace it all to this film. What it's about is Heidi, of course, who ends up living with her grandfather in the mountains. And he's, this crotchety old man, and basically, she ends up showing him, how to love and, how to be a good parent or father figure. And basically, she cheers him up. But the movie kind of takes a strange twist near the middle of it, where Heidi gets taken away from the grandfather and basically sold to a rich family. And the reason for this is because they have a crippled daughter who's stuck in a wheelchair, and the father wants to basically own Heidi to be this girl's friend. It's rather strange in itself, but when you take into the fact that the father's two house servants, this bald man who kind of looks like Curly from Three Stooges, and this really thin, witchy, I think German woman, they play the big villains. They're very nasty and very abusive to Heidi, and they want to, I believe, try to take the father's money by either embezzling or something. It's been way too long since I watched this. But there's two scenes in this movie that stuck out. One of them is called the Nightmare Ballet, and that is when the grandfather tells Heidi about these creatures that live in the mountains. And basically, he was making up a story on why, you hear all these creepy sounds in the middle of the night. And Heidi, who lives in this, barn attic, she goes to bed and she has this dream that all these really neat, colorful, whimsical creatures come out, and she goes out and parties with them all night. And it's such a strange contrast to the rest of the movie, because these creatures just don't really fit in a realistic setting that is Heidi. But it's a nightmare, or it's a dream that becomes a nightmare, so it makes sense. And it's a lot of interesting, creative creatures, but the part that stuck out for me and the part that got really scary is at the very end of this musical number, the mountain itself comes to life and tries to crush all the dancing monsters before trying to devour Heidi. And this part is only maybe the last 20 seconds of the whole musical number, this whole sequence. But seeing that monster just rip itself out of the mountain and, swinging its giant tree arms, and it had these huge branches of spiky fingertips, and seeing it trying to impale Heidi and try to eat Heidi and then try to grab and crush all these little monsters, that was creepy. Not to mention that the very start of the song, it's all music, but there's only one lyric, and that's where these spirits, they are like these wind. They're like women's faces that bring the wind. And as they're flying through the valley, they open their mouth and a dragon comes out of the mouth. And then the dragon's face peels back to show the women's faces again as they continue singing the word Heidi over and over, trying to get her to come play with them. And I know these creatures are not evil, only the mountain was evil, but that was still kind of creepy, hearing this wind demon woman thing, singing, Heidi, come out and play. That was kind of creepy when you were like 7 years old. But nothing really beats the part of the movie where Heidi upsets the woman housekeeper in the rich man's mansion. Here, I'll show you what she looks like. Right here. Oh yeah, there's the mountain creature. But yeah, this woman, she gets fed up with Heidi, grabs the girl, and throws her in this basement. And this is the part of the movie that always stuck out, because up until this part of the film, Heidi gets along with almost every animal she comes across, whether goats or deers and ducks and owls, and it's basically like Sleeping Beauty with all the animals when she sings. She's thrown in the basement, and there are these man-eating rats down there. Seriously, these vicious rats who basically want to tear her apart and eat her. And the king rat does this really cool, song and dance scene, very stylized, very colorful, and he's played by, who is it? Oh, Sammy Davis Jr. I know, right? And his name is the King Rat, not the Rat King. It's not Ninja Turtles. He's the King Rat, and basically he sings about how despicable rats are and their purpose in life. But then he sends all these rats to eat Heidi. This is a kid's movie where you're watching a little, I don't know how old she is, like maybe, can't be older than 11 years old girl, thrown and locked into a basement where she will be eaten by rats. And the woman knew this. She knows that there are rats down there, and she doesn't care if Heidi dies. Simple as that. Sure, I mean, you have a happy ending, the friends come in, save the day, all that good stuff. But that scene stuck with me all my life. And to be honest, I just watched bits and pieces of it just to remember my favorite scenes, like the Nightmare Ballet and the rat scene. And while the Nightmare Ballet is not as dark as I remember it, it's still pretty cool. But yeah, I did not make that up. That rat scene is still pretty dark for otherwise a really bright and colorful children's film. But I have been hunting this movie down for almost 18 years, probably a little more. And only recently, I believe the last year or so, Warner Brothers finally released it on DVD. And the quality, it's not, I don't think they really cleaned it up, which was a disappointment. I was hoping it would be very bright, really clean. Like, you see some of the Disney re-releases when they put them on DVD for the first time. They're really cleaned up, really bright. But this looks like it's more of an upscaled VHS version. But you know what? It's so old, I can understand that. You can only digitize things and clean it up so far. But the fact remains, it's still a good movie. And it's a shame that this is one of those films that fell through the cracks. You always have these obscure animated films that people remember, but they never became like this huge hit like a lot of Disney or Don Bluth films. And I noticed that a lot with Hanna-Barbera films. There's so many good Hanna-Barbera movies out there that just don't get huge recognition. Two of them being Mowgli's Story and Rikki Tikki Tavi, something I will go over with on a later date. But yeah, this retails about between $12 to $16 on Warner Brothers website, but you can find it also, I think, Best Buy, For Your Entertainment, and if I remember correctly, you might be able to find it on like Target.com or DVD Planet if you could, if you search the internet hard enough. But the fact of the matter is, it's finally out. 18 years I've been waiting to see this movie, and it's finally out. It's like, I don't know, it's just something really important from my childhood, because this kind of defined, my enjoyment for dark, kind of creepy children's movies. And I don't know if I would enjoy a lot of the scarier films for kids like I do today if it wasn't for Heidi's song. So, I'm really pleased to get this. And, I hope you take a moment. I'll provide the link to the trailer in the description. I hope you take a moment to look at the trailer. And if you ever get the chance to find this DVD, I suggest giving it a shot. You might be able to rent it at a Redbox, I don't know. But, if you're a fan of Hanna-Barbera and classic old school movies, I highly recommend Heidi's Tale. It's just a good movie. Nothing more to say about it, and I'm just so pleased that they finally re-released it. Now, if we can only get other studios to re-release a bunch of their old animated films and TV shows, I would be very happy. So, if you do remember Heidi's song, please comment below. I guess you can subscribe if you're all that interested. I'll be reviewing a lot more TV shows and animated movies, so subscribe if you want. And if you liked it, awesome. Please hit like. So if you want to see my other videos, just go to my channel. I got video game reviews, I got unboxing videos, and just basic rants and stories. So enjoy them if that's your thing. I hope you do. And I will see you next time on Reclaiming Childhood.